Well, if I smell like a whiskey, it's because I'm drinking. And if I smell like smoke, it's because I'm stoned. Yeah, but don't think that I smell this way.
And speaking of stoned, and not just on the stickers, here he is, Mr. Butch Lord.
Thank you, Joe Garner. Yes, I am. Guilty as charged. Looky here. That was the Low Cash Cowboys in the last segment, and what a great time it was going down to that show. And I'll tell you, I didn't get to hang with those cats very much. I actually spent most of my time hanging with our next guest. And this is what I say about the gems you find if you're just out there amongst them. You know, I hear about the cool band, Low Cash Cowboys. They're going to be down there at that America's Pub, which is a cool venue. And then I find this other band there. And that, you know, it was good enough to go see their show. But no, the Callahan Band is there. An awesome band from right there in Wichita. Actually, Bentley, Kansas, about 30 miles out of Wichita. I found that out by going there. That's right. I had to catch this cat because I missed his show at the Low Cash. I was doing my show across town, didn't make it to his. And then so I was going to try and make it out to his show on Saturday night. Again, my shows ran long, and I don't make it to the show. But yeah, the coolest part about going to that Low Cash show, no offense to the Low Cash Cowboys, was hanging out with Jason Callahan that night. Because I got there, like I said, I was running late. I saw the last end of Low Cash, which was a cool show. But then I was just hanging out, waiting to get their interview. And while I was hanging out, I run into the opening band, the Callahan Band, Jason Callahan of the Callahan Band. We start hanging out. It was really cool. I ended up scoring a couple of hotties that were just hanging around with Jason. I scored a little Thelma and Louise there. Thelma and Louise posse. You know them hottie housewives who bail the husbands for a weekend of naughtiness in the big city. Yeah, that's right. I had me a Thelma and Louise, and I scored them off of Jason Callahan. That's right. Yeah, I was their Brad Pitt. That's right. All right, I was actually the cliff they drove off. But so you know, a cat's a cool cat when you can actually just score some side conk that's hanging around. That was nice. So I knew I wanted to see his show, dang it. I had heard from the venue, I heard from the radio station. Hell, I even heard from the Low Cash Cowboys. You gotta see Callahan, man. So I did. And I went out to Bentley, Kansas, to his hometown to catch him out there. And man, that was a trip. So I got dropped off by Chris Winslow. He drops me at the party, and it was a bash, man. And Callahan was cool enough to pull out the guitar, played me a little tune, a couple of tunes actually, and one of them is now my new favorite tune, a song called Son of a Drunken Rambler, which rings true to this brother, I'll tell you what. It was funny, though. I actually have a little story about hearing that with my son, and he actually has a father-son story that goes with that song. And all that stuff coming up right here in an interview with Jason Callahan of the Callahan Band. Jason, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. How are you?
Man, we are doing great today, man. First of all, we want to say this has been a hell of a deal trying to get an interview out of Jason. Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Callahan from the Callahan Band, who we've made reference to all show long. And his music has been playing all show long.
We started the whole show off with it.
We started the show with Bring On the Sin. And getting an interview from this guy has been the hardest thing ever because we've had to jump through so many hoops. First, in Wichita, I missed his show twice in Wichita. Once because I was performing across town and couldn't make it over in time. And the other time because I was performing across town and couldn't make it over in time. And so both times I missed his actual performance. But lucky for us, he actually, at an after party, the second time I missed him, in his hometown of Bentley, Kansas, there was an after party after the show, and he pulled out the acoustic and did an impromptu acoustic jam for me, which really was awesome, and introduced me to the baddest tune called Son of a Drunken Rambler. Is that it?
Yeah, Son of a Drunken Rambler.
Yeah, and that tune blew me away. I was hooked. And I was telling Joe now, I want to tell you that I was telling Joe earlier in the program that sometimes you'll meet a musician or, in my case, a comic, and just talking to the guy and just hanging out with him, you'll know that you're going to like his music or you're going to like his comedy. You just already know that. There's just a thing there already. And I said that's what I knew when I met you that night. And I didn't get to see your stuff that first night, and it was a big show. show where it would have been the most ideal situation to see you in, and darn it, I missed it. But just talking to you after that, I said, I'm really anxious. I wanted to go see your show 2 nights later, because the next night you were doing 2 shows in Dodge City, but you were back over by Wichita on Saturday night, and I was really hoping to get to that show, and again, I missed it. I was so pissed that I missed that show. And when I got to the after party, I was at least coming to get the interview, and here you pulled out the acoustic and did a great little jam session, which was a lot of fun. And we were able to get into an interview afterward, which was great, because in the middle of that, the cops got called, which was my kind of party, I'll be honest with you. And
yeah, it was definitely a wild night. I remember, you said you were gonna show up, and out here in Bentley, Kansas, cell phone services non-existent. Like, I'm actually standing on my dryer right now, so I can talk on the phone. But I walk outside the bar, and then my phone just lights up, and it starts beeping and vibrating, and I have just all these text messages came through and missed calls, whatnot. And I seen you sent me a text. You're like, shit, my deal ran late. Is it cool if I still come? And can I still get this interview? And I was like, yeah. So I was telling the bar that you were going to come. I kind of described you, and then the next day, well, it was like Monday when we went to get our stuff. We got a little too drunk at the end of the night to tear all our music stuff down. We the bar owner goes, yeah, this skinny Jesus-looking fellow with sunglasses on started banging on the door right at closing time. Told him you were down the street. And it was I just assumed that was you.
Yep, that was me, man. I told Joe that when I came over, I came knocking on the door, and they looked up and they kind of jumped a little bit of a startled,
It's a good old small town bar. They just they're not used to seeing hippies like you.
Once
you're kind, maybe you're kind.
Right.
But yeah, no, it was it's just jacking with you, but yeah, it was definitely a good time. And when we played for Low Cash, that was definitely, I was a little nervous. I'm not nervous, but concerned about as to what the crowd would think, because I'm not. We're such at different ends of the country music world, and that was actually a pretty interesting show, I thought.
And I bet it was a pleasant surprise to rock their house like that, because the people told me that your show went well that night.
Yeah, and man, like I was telling you last time, I feel sometimes I feel like I'm in a prison band, because we get all these guys who love our music, and they get drunk and they stand up in front of us, and they headbang to their country music, and it's awesome, and it's amazing. And then the 100 people in there, but there's the 10 or 15 cute girls are sitting in the back wondering why they even came. But Low Cash is the opposite. There's like all these smoking hot women at the front, and all their boyfriends are sitting in the back wondering why they came.
That's great, man. That's hilarious.
So we're going to see the Callahan band here on the East Coast?
Yeah, man, we were talking about that, and like I was saying, it's a real good time for the Callahan band, because we're all almost off paper, so we cross state lines, and we'll be able to cross state lines like the normal people. And it'll be, that's, people hear this. I might even have fans, so I might even have people that like my music by the time we get up around that area.
Well, if we've got anything to do with it, you'll pack a house up here, man.
Absolutely.
Because you guys are already on my list of top favorites, man. And I'm not even just pulling your chain, dude. I like your music. I like what you do here. Example, that one song, the first night I heard it, Son of a Drunken Rambler, it was such a... That song hit home with me. And I was talking to you about that song later on, and I had found out that you actually wrote that after meeting your dad for the first time on your drive back from having met your dad for the first time, huh?
Yeah, and it was there's some songs that you sit down and actually write. I mean, with a pen and paper, and you sit there and you you look up at the ceiling and then you think of words that rhyme with whatever, and then you write them down, and then you put all this time and effort, and then there's songs that just pop up in your head, and I figure if it's a song that just comes to your head and you keep remembering without ever writing it down, I think that's something. I think there's definitely substance there, and that's what happened with that. I mean, obviously wrote it down later in life, but it was definitely just kind of a whim, or kind of off the top of my head.
It just came to you, right?
Yeah, it just came to me.
I feel that same way about comedy sometimes, or when I'm writing down comedy, because I've written some books, and when I'm writing, sometimes it's forced, but other times I seem to just be able to put the pen down on the paper and the words just pour out, and it just comes to me and they stream right through me. Like a good joke is it's written from start to finish. A good in my stand-up, and a joke is equivalent to a song. Mine are stories, so they're real long things, and it'll be written start to finish in the flash of the thought. You know what I mean? And here it's a 5-minute story, but it's written start to finish with the flash of a thought. And that's a good one. That's the one of your signature. Anything that people remember most about your show, you're like, yeah, that was one of those. I knew it was going to be one of those. It's a real memorable, something. And that happens with music as well, with your songs. You just know when that song's one of the ones.
It seems like the songs that hit closer to home are the ones that are easier to write, and it's the ones that people can understand, because there's not a lot of people are like drug sniffing dogs and they don't even know it. But I mean, they can tell if you're singing a song about how you love the daisies and the sunshine and all. It's not, if you don't really do that, people aren't even going to pay attention to your song. You're not gonna find it in you to display enough.
Do you know
passion.
I know exactly what you're talking about, where if you don't relate to it, and it really is glaringly obvious in comedy, if you're trying to do something that you're not, like me trying to put on a suit and tie and be cleaned up and squeaky clean Disney comic, you'd know it wasn't in my heart to be there.
Right, and that's why the song about a drunken rambler and songs about bring on the stands. Just pretty much songs about getting entirely too drunk and singing about strippers. It's stuff I can relate to.
It's stuff that...
And so can we.
And so can we, dang it. I was actually singing the tune, the Drunken Rambler. The verse of it was stuck in my head, and I was riding with my son in the car, and I was like, I'm a thick-skinned, hard-boned son of a drunken rambler. My son's like, no, you're not, Dad. That's me. You're the Drunken Rambler.
I'm the son, yeah.
Yeah.
Rarely drinks anymore.
Right.
Butch, I don't think drinks at his shows. He has 2 beers before he goes on because he's nervous. That's about it. That's the only time I see him drink anymore.
Yeah, I don't really drink
10
much.
years ago, that'd be different.
Callahan's like, well, he drank like a fish at my house.
All right,
we're going to wrap this up. We got a 2-part interview going with Callahan. We got a whole extended version of the Callahan interviews. The lost tapes will be available on the website. We've got some really cool stuff. We love hanging out with Jason. We're actually doing a show with the Callahan Band. It's actually, I'm announcing it to Jason now. We'll see if he's happy about it. But, dude, we're booked for the 19th of September, Sunday, at the Looney Bin, man. My home away from home in Wichita. And you will be able to see Butch Lord and the Callahan Band live at the Looney Bin September 19th after the drag races at Kansas International Speedway. Compliments of Bartell Productions.
The Butch Lord Radio Roadshow is a Glarner Group production, produced right here in Frewsburg, New York.